What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. And I figured I'd take the time to talk about something that's pretty popular on a lot of boxing sites. A lot of people are talking about it. Floyd Mayweather's next fight with Robert the Ghost Guerrero. And I just got finished watching Robert Guerrero versus Andre Berto on demand. And I just want to give pretty much an early insight to the fight, what I think. Um, as far as Robert Guerrero, I think he's a fighter that does adapt to a degree. I feel he's a fighter that has a great chin. I feel he's a fighter who is definitely seasoned. He's been in there with Orlando Salido, even though Salido was cheating. Um, he was in there with the cheating version of Salido, and we already know Salido's a monster off drugs, so imagine him on drugs. He's been in there with people like Escobedo, um, Berto, Selchuk Aydin, etc. So we know he has a chin and we know he has a heart, especially after watching that Berto fight again. Because I had only seen that one time as well when it initially aired, and I never revisited it until just now. And I figured gearing up for the Mayweather-Guerrero match is the perfect time to revisit that. Um, Honestly, I don't see Robert Guerrero beating Floyd Mayweather. I definitely see him giving a spirited effort, possibly even lasting the distance. Even though I think it's possible he could get knocked out as well in the later rounds. Um, I just see him giving a valiant, spirited effort, but coming up short. Um, a lot of people compare the Cotto fight, but even with that, I think Cotto is a different. He's a different level. He's a bigger frame fighter, and Robert Guerrero. I mean, I think he honestly packed more of a punch in the lower weight divisions, but Cotto just seems like a more solid dude in terms of his frame. And I just think Cotto is Cotto and Robert Guerrero is Guerrero. Like, even if you watch the way they fight, something Cotto he's actually gotten away with. He's like lessened it over the years, but he was a great body attacker. Robert Guerrero, sometimes when he's turning his punches, to me, they look kind of like they're slapping punches. Timothy Bradley does this sometimes too. I wouldn't say Guerrero's as bad as Timothy Bradley with the slap punches, but sometimes he might land scoring or it looks okay, but I don't think it's going to have much effect. Um, Watching the Andre Berto fight, I honestly felt realistically, and this is nothing. This is not taking away a victory's a victory, a W's a W. Props to Team Ghost and all that. But I honestly felt Berto made it a way tougher night by fighting the fight that he did, as opposed to Robert Guerrero just did all of the right things. And let me explain that. So again, I'm not hating. This is my honest opinion. Robert Guerrero, he did some things in there that were pretty dirty, and I think like another fight, Richard Abril versus Bogare, and that was another fight where people were giving Abril slack, and the ref was kind of on Abril's case. But I honestly felt a lot of what Abril did was in response to Bogare's reckless, wild punches. And that's what I felt with Andre Berto. He was in there with the feisty Robert Guerrero, who was smothering him. He wouldn't give him any space to breathe, and he just wasn't giving him any space. And he was doing some things that were dirty. Like, if you watch the first knockdown in the first round, Robert Guerrero had one glove behind his head and the other hand was punching. Like, he's like holding his head up and he's like punching and punching and punching. Like, kind of like something you would see more or less on a street fight. And then Berto toppled down and fell. Another thing, Berto came out with the Philly shell. He hasn't perfected that. That was stupid to take 14, 15-month layoff for the whole PED steroid scandal or whatever, and come back with a new style that is not yours, that you've never employed in any of your other fights, was stupid. Even if you look at his facial expression from round one, he's making this old slave Django face because you could tell he's not comfortable with that Philly shell style. So Robert, being the fighter he is, this is where his adjustments came into play. Robert Guerrero was able to see, like, oh, what the fuck is he doing? That's probably what Guerrero was thinking, like, what the fuck is he doing? He's not Mayweather. And he pressed his attack, and then he noticed he was getting results by smothering him, so he just never let up. And I don't care who you are, you're not going to be able to, you could be in great shape, but if someone's smothering you and applying that type of pressure, it's going to have some effect. It's going to slow you down at least a little bit, or it's going to knock some steam off your punches. And in my opinion, I felt Berto showed heart, but he didn't show this, like, he didn't show the mental ring generalship to get him out of that situation early, so he made it worse for himself. And I really feel this. I felt Berto, he didn't really even come on till like the mid to late rounds. And that's when he started busting up Robert Guerrero's face. So had he done, I'm not trying to say what if the right man won, the person with a game plan or the ability to adapt won. I'm fine with that. I'm moving on to the next fight. But I honestly think Berto didn't do himself any favors by fighting the style that he fought. And he was coming off of a layoff. Now, fast forward to the future, you have Robert Guerrero versus Floyd Mayweather, someone who does the Philly shell, and they call it the Mayweather shell, or the Mayweather defense, because he's infamous for it. So I don't think Robert Guerrero is going to be able to penetrate Mayweather's defense in the same exact way that he did Berto. Another thing, in the Berto Guerrero fight, I just watched it again. If you guys haven't seen it in a while, I suggest you rewatch it. Aside from some of the dirty tactics from both fighters and that kind of thing, the referee did not do a great job of controlling the ring and controlling the action, in my opinion. I felt he was pretty lackadaisical. It's like some of these refs, they warn people or they'll take a point, and they do it at the most inopportune times. Like they do it like the fighter will be doing flagrant things in round 3, for instance, and there's no point deducted, and they'll keep saying it in round 4 and round 5. In rounds 3 through 5, it would have made sense to take that point. But some of these refs wait and wait and wait, and then it'll be round 10, like when it's in the championship rounds and it's like a close fight, and then the person will do it again, and then they decide to take it. So I don't know. I don't think the ref in the Guerrero Berto fight did a great job of controlling the action. Fast forward to Mayweather. They're probably going to be fighting in Mayweather's backyard. Oh, they are, I think, in Vegas. One, I don't think Mayweather's going to allow half of what Berto allowed. Two, I don't think whoever's reffing is probably going to be a good ref. You know what I mean? Kenny Bayless, Tony Weeks, or one of the refs that ref for the big fights, the Marquez and Pacquiao 4 and that kind of thing. So between the ref and Mayweather, his skill set, I don't see him getting bullied like Berto got bullied. And again, Berto took too long to start up. If he were to do something, it could be a different fight. We'll never know because he chose to do the Philly shell and something he wasn't comfortable with. Another thing I noticed, Robert Guerrero seems like he gets gassed, like he loses stamina. If you watch the Selçuk-Aydin fight, granted it was his first fight at 147 after a 2-year layoff. I respect that. But at the same time, it's the fight game. You can't really make excuses as to why this did or didn't happen. So towards the beginning of the fight, he looked a lot better. And then mid to late rounds, he started to look like he was like losing it, like fatiguing. And same thing with the Berto fight. He looked like he was fatiguing. And that's when Berto started to come on and get more shots because he wasn't as feisty and as mobile as he was in some of the earlier rounds. And that's when Berto started catching him. And if you look at Floyd Mayweather's pedigree and look at his previous fights, if there's anybody in the fucking fight game that knows how to take over and come alive as the fight progresses, you have to mention Floyd Mayweather. It seems like he gets better as the rounds progress. Look at Floyd Mayweather versus Ab Judah. Early in the fight, Judah was best in Floyd. I don't care what anybody says. Judah was getting the best of Floyd. And then mid to late rounds, Floyd comes on and he just keeps coming on strong. Same thing with Ricky Hatton. He's the type of fighter that obviously conditions his body well, and he seems to come alive as the fight progresses and it gets better and better and better. I think the Marquez fight is probably an example of that too. as the fight wore on, he starts getting better and starts really figuring you out. So if what I'm saying is accurate and Robert Guerrero does have these stamina issues, then he's definitely going to be in for a long night going against someone who's always stays in good condition right around the weight that they fight at. And I heard Floyd Mayweather is just highly disciplined, and this is not just from him. This is from other people that know him, 50 Cent and different things. They say he doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink, he obviously doesn't abuse his body. That's why he can come off of a 18-month, almost 2 year layoff, and then defeat somebody like a Marquez. And if you want to say the 4 pound weight advantage is the only reason he defeated him, then good luck with that. Because Pacquiao weighed 4 pounds more than Marquez in their last fight, and Marquez knocked him the fuck out. So it's not solely based on that. But you know how fight fans get. They're fickle and they want to hold on to whatever they can. But then again, I just see Guerrero fading as the fight. Like, I think I see him doing better earlier on. And as the fight progresses and Mayweather starts really figuring him out, I think he's going to start picking him off and adapting to another level and possibly stopping Robert Guerrero. Again, I see Guerrero giving a very spirited effort. I'm not mad at the fight. I don't think it's a cherry pick fight. He deserves this fight. It's a unification bout. He's been calling Mayweather out. He had 2 tough tests, a hard-hitting Ayudin and Andre Berto, who's a fast hand. And a lot of people thought, including myself, I thought Berto was going to beat him. He proved everybody wrong. He used his smothering tactics and aggressive, nonstop behavior to give him problems early on. And that's what won him the fight. If you watch the Guerrero-Berto fight again, he won that fight not because he looked stupendous in the championship rounds. It's because of what he did early on. He scored the 2 knockdowns early on, and what he did early on in the fight. He wasn't giving Berto any room to breathe. And like I said, Berto didn't do himself any favors. But honestly, I don't see Mayweather allowing some of the things that Berto did. This is what's going to work to Guerrero's advantage, and we have yet to see. A lot of transitions. One, Mayweather is under a different type of pressure. We all know that he's been to the championship level numerous times, but it's still a new venture. It's still new. He spent his whole career with HBO. Now he's with Showtime. He spent, I think, a long time. I don't even know the amount of years, so I'm not going to try to guess. With his uncle Roger Mayweather training. If you watch the old 24/7s, you'll see him calling his dad a faggot and disrespecting his dad. So they have a tumultuous, like, up and down relationship. Now his dad is his main trainer in that fight with Robert Guerrero. So that's another transition. 3, age. How has he been aging? And then 4, the whole jail sentence, because that's something new. We don't know how he's going to look because he's been inactive. By the time they fight, it'll be virtually almost 1 full year. And a lot of people think that he slowed down in the Cotto fight. I heard that Mayweather was thinking about postponing the fight and pulling out because he was sick and he decided not to. So does that have something to do with his performance? Yay or nay? But even using that, some people are like, oh, that's just an excuse. He still won the fight, so it's not really an excuse because most people use excuses to explain why something didn't happen. Like, hey, I didn't make it on time to work because blah, blah, blah. Why are you going to make, you're not going to make an excuse for something you won because, it doesn't really matter. So he won, and I heard that he was sick. So it's not really making an excuse because he still won. He still convincingly beat Cotto. So maybe that had played a factor in. Who knows? But that's basically my prediction on the Robert Guerrero. I definitely see Robert Guerrero giving it his all, something he's been beckoning for. He's been calling Mayweather out, but I just don't see it being enough. I see it being competitive more or less in the beginning rounds, but I think Mayweather is going to just be a level above and really kick on the switch as the fight progresses, and it's just going to be a bad look for Robert Guerrero. I'm going to leave you with some pictures from their showdown on Showtime, and Robert Guerrero looks like he's out of shape, so hopefully he plans on controlling that or has a game plan. But he definitely has a chin and he has a shot just like any other fighter, I think it'll be competitive, and probably we get to see Mayweather at his best, because I think this opponent is going to challenge him more than maybe some of his other opponents in the past. Couple fights before Cotto. So we'll see. Let me know what you guys think. Subscribe, comment, or hate. Till next video, Ego signing off.